So my suspicion is that had Dr. Lennox been born in rural India, he would be Hindu, and equally convinced of that. Had he been born in rural China, he would be Confucian, perhaps Buddhist, like my father. Had he been born in Cologne, Germany, he would be Lutheran, like my mother, and equally convinced of that and arguing that this is the best of all possible worlds. And let me also point out, human beings have come up with thousands, maybe tens of thousands of religions and gods. Dr. Lennox is also an atheist about those other vast majority of them. It's only this particular one must be true that he happened to grow up with and happened to be born into. And I think, the message of Jesus is beautiful. I don't deny that. But I don't believe it's necessary to believe that he was the Son of God or resurrected or actually that he's out there for belief in him to help a marriage. Maybe it's the belief in his message that's helping the marriage. It doesn't mean that he has to exist out there.
Because the concept of God, if it means anything, is the ultimate reality that does exist. Now, this is immensely important because one of the other questions, which I'll now relate to it, is the question of the ancient gods. Now, I did a debate just recently in the Oxford Union debating chamber. I don't know whether you've watched one of those debates. They're parliamentary debates. We all dress up in dinner suits, and we're very polite to each other, or we try to be. And on my side were a couple of Christians, including Christopher Hitchens' brother, and facing me was an atheist professor of philosophy and two other atheists, and sitting in between them was Richard Dawkins, who said he didn't want to participate, but he wanted to come. So to my amazement, one of the major arguments of the evening coming from the atheist side was this:
what is the probability that Yahweh is the one true God in Amun-Ra, Aphrodite, Apollo, Baal, Brahman, Ganesha, Isis, Mithras, Osiris, Shiva, Thor, Vishnu, Wanton, Zeus, and the other 986 gods are all false gods? You guys are atheists just like me, of all the gods I just rattled off. Some of us just go one God further.
Pointing at me, one of them said, "You are an atheist with respect to Zeus." And I nodded, "Yes, I'm an Zeusist." And he said, "Moreover, you are an atheist with respect to Artemis." "Yes, I'm an Artemist." "And you are an atheist with respect to," and he went through a whole lot of gods, Ra, Bel, and all the rest of them. "Now," he said with a great grin, "we just go one God more." What a childish notion. Why is it childish, ladies and gentlemen? Because what they fail to realize is that every one of those millions of gods from the ancient world are material gods. You say, what do you mean by that? Because ancient Babylon, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and ancient Rome all had theogonies and not just cosmogonies. A cosmogony is, of course, a philosophy, a theory of the origin of the cosmos. A theogony is an origin of the gods. And you'll find as you look at all those gods, they have one thing in common. They are descended from the primeval stuff of the universe. Indeed, the Babylonian gods came from, or is it the Egyptian, a primeval soup, although they called it a sea. It's not a new idea. Ur-Nammu. The God of the Bible is not descended from material. He created it. That is so important. Again, it emphasizes what I was saying in my talk. If you're debating this question, before you get into it, make sure that both sides of the discussion know what they mean by God. Werner Jaeger, the distinguished Oxford expert on this, wrote a book on the gods of the Greeks and the Babylonians that is actually something I'm very interested in. And he said the Greek gods are stationed within the universe. They descended from it. The Hebrew God created the universe. They are not to be put in the same line of business.
Well, I'd just like one word, Peter.
All right.
because if I'd been born in India, I might well have been a Hindu. And that's why I've spent my entire life exposing my faith to its opposite in order to answer that question. The motto of this university is Vox clamans in deserto, a voice crying in the wilderness. Might be a good time to listen to that voice. Thank you.
Thank you to both Peter and to John.
Thank you very much indeed.
Wonderful. Really well done, guys. Thanks very much.